ring modulation and amplitude modulation. So just like with FM and PM modulation, we can engage it right here for oscillator number 1. Notice how there's all these down here for oscillator number 2. These 3 are dealing just with oscillator number 1. So I'll go ahead and click on modulator number 1, and it's multiplying oscillator number 1. So we call this ring modulation right now. So modulator number 1 is modulating carrier number 1, or oscillator number 1. Now, I can, of course, adjust the same parameters I can for FM and PM synth, so I can have it be 2 octaves higher, so my modulator is 2 octaves higher than my oscillator. That means this is vibrating twice as fast as oscillator number 1, so as this isn't even going to our signal chain, notice. It's just modulating oscillator number 1. Let's change that to be, how about 7 semitones? You can kind of hear how that changes the tonality. Now, if I bring up the offset on my modulator, it goes from ring modulation to AM modulation. Essentially, keeping that fundamental frequency in there. I can also adjust the volume of my modulator, and that's the depth. Just like when I do it with PM or FM, it's the depth of that I'm using my modulator to modulate my carrier. I can also use fine tune. Lots of fun things to modulate, perhaps using these modulators over here. Another little key thing to notice is our pitch drift, so the amount that it's going to drift in pitch, and then how fast it's going to drift in pitch, just to modulate analog synthesizers. I can also have other modulators modulate themselves, perhaps. So I can have perhaps modulator number 4. I'm clicked on number 4. I can have it do its own modulation. So perhaps modulator number 1 is also modulating number 4. And then maybe we have a modulator number 4 doing phase modulation for us. Get some really crazy tones right off the bat by having multiple modulators going at the same time. So right now my modulator 4 is getting its modulation source from modulator number 1, and it's being phase modulated, but then modulator number 4 right here is modulating oscillator number 1, which is also being modulated by modulator number 1, but that's for AM modulation. Now, I can do some crazy things where I'll turn these off, where I can have modulator number 1 become a whole new oscillator. So it goes from a modulator and it turns into a carrier. If I just click on this little guy right here and don't have it multiply, have it add. Now, modulator number 1 is essentially just another oscillator. So technically, I don't just have 2 oscillators, I actually have 3 going on right now. I can even make that be modulators 1 and 2. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 oscillators right now.